Okay, we're going to give you an update on the S-20R radio that I'm working on. This is the Hallicrafter boat anchor, and you can see that I've begun the process of cleaning the chassis. It looks a lot better than it did here and here. I'm still working my way around here. I have some rust in the back here behind the transformer, and a little bit over here on the side, but that's no problem. I can get that out. So working on the chassis, I also started to think about what I'm going to do with the case, and the dial cover on this thing was rusted and pitted. So what I did was I stripped it and stripped the paint off completely, soaked it in some evapor rust, went over it with fine grit sandpaper, got all the bad spots off, and now I've just put a coat of primer on it. And you could see it looks really good. It's popping out real nice. And once that's all set and everything, I'm gonna spray paint this thing, and I want to show you what I've done. So I took a sample, the dial cover at the Home Depot, and put it in their color match system, and they were able to actually match the color that this radio is, which is kind of like I guess it's like a charcoal, but it's got like a tinge of blue in it. So they gave me this color right here, and the way that you apply it is interesting. Now I'm not going to use a brush because that's never going to work. I found this product called Preval spray system right here, like this. And the way it works, I'll show you this. Pretty clever actually. So they give you a glass jar, and what you do is you pour the paint into the jar, and you dilute it with a little bit of water or lacquer thinner, depending on what kind of paint you're going to use. And then you get this charged aerosol container, like this, which fits over here, screws into the bottom, and you spray, right? And I don't know if it's going to work. I've seen stuff on YouTube, and it seems to do a great job. The real trick is getting the right consistency. So this is what I'm going to use to spray it. I did a sample of the color to see if it matches, and I'll show you what that looks like. It's pretty darn close. Now, the reason why I even thought about this, I went to Home Depot and I wanted to get one of those spray cans that John from Arkansas was able to get, where they custom make the can, and Home Depot doesn't do that. At least the one near me doesn't. So they recommended this Preval system. It's about $4.95, relatively cheap. You can put any kind of paint in there you want, and you could spray anything on anything. So pretty interesting. We'll find out if that works later, much later, after I strip the cabinet. But let me show you what the color sample looks like against the original cabinet, and we'll see what you think. I'll be right back. Okay. Here's the cabinet. This bar, or this area here, which is lighter, is where the aluminum bar goes over. So this paint is actually lighter than the rest of it. There's some oxidation here, obviously. And when I brought the paint to Home Depot, I actually matched it against a sample which had oxidation. So this is the sample. So I should have actually put a little bit on this so you could see the contrast. Actually, let's do that now. Let me get it. So all we're going to do is we're going to put a little bit of paint on here with a Q-tip so you can see it. And you can see that it does a pretty good job. You know, listen, I'm never going to get the exact match, but you know, if I want to redo this thing the right way, that's the plan. So let's just put in a very thin layer on here. And this paint does dry a little bit lighter, like that, and we'll let that dry while I'm yapping. So basically, I also ordered the decals off of Radio Days for this radio, because there are some of the decals are missing on the front, which I'll show you in a second, and you know, there's some chipping and things, and I want to try to do this the best way that I possibly can, as I always try to. And we're going to give that a shot and see how that works. So this is drying. You could see it's lightened up a little bit. It's getting there, but it's pretty darn close. Looking at the front, let's just zoom down into the front here. So you'll see here around the BFO switch there's paint missing, and there's a chip here around the AVC switch, and there's some rust over here. And if I pull this up a little bit, you'll see that there's rust here, and there's paint missing. And then on the send receive button there's a chip here, and there's paint missing. So that's why I'm going to redo this thing. And like I said, I am going to get all the decals, and you can see here on this decal in particular, main tuning, it's pretty much worn off here. And so what do I have to lose, right? So we're going to strip this thing. We're going to use that spray canister that I showed you and see what it looks like. It can't be any worse, right? So that's the plan. Let's take a look back at that paint that I put on there and see what it looks like. So let's pull the shot back just a little bit. Actually, we'll go a little bit closer. You can see it's pretty close. So so that's the plan. Alright, I'll come back with an update. I do want to show you these sidebars that go on the side of the cabin. I'm going to go scrub these things and see what kind of shape I can get them in. So I'll be right back and show you what that looks like at the end. Be back. And just like that, they're all shiny and presentable again. We're going to give these a shot of clear coat, but we've got a long way to go before that's ready. So we've got these things all cleaned up. Anyway, let's go to the next thing. So in this container I have some Evapo-Rust. This is what I'm using for all the screws. And I want to show you a little trick that I did which will help make this a little bit easier. I took a medicine bottle and drilled some holes in it, like so. And I just put the screws in the bottle and put it down in there. And this way when I go to take this out, I don't have to go fishing in the solution and waste a lot. So I've got some screws soaking in there now. Those actually go to the speaker. They were completely rusted. And we're going to leave those in there till tomorrow. Get them all clean. So that's a little trick that we can use with the Evapo-Rust if you don't have a strainer or something. Let's see what else we got. Be back. The last thing I want to show you is it looks like, I'm not positive, but I'm pretty sure that someone did a mod on this thing some time ago. Looks like there's a piece of sheet metal here, and there's a BNC connector coming through. And I'm not exactly sure what was supposed to be here. I've got to do some research and figure that out. I have to assume that this is for an antenna. That would make the most logical sense, that someone put in an antenna connection there. But I'm going to have to trace that back underneath and confirm that I'm right. So that's going to be something that I do later. I'm going to fall on the sword here and tell you that I don't know what this is. I have no clue what that's for. And neither do I have a clue what this is for. No idea. So if anybody knows what these pieces actually do, I would appreciate being educated. This may be some type of speaker dummy load. I don't know. I just don't know. So I'm willing to learn and want to learn a lot about what this stuff is. So if anybody knows what these plugs do, or this one says 150 volts here on this pin. So I don't know. No clue. Anyway, you folks that know these boat anchors a hell of a lot better than I do will probably tell me the answer. So any help there is really appreciated. So the next step here is going to continue to clean up this chassis. You could see here we still got lots and lots of grime and stuff that have to get cleaned out there. And we pull back. There's a little bit more in here. Here's that rust I was telling you about, right in here. So we're going to clean that up. And I was considering taking off this top of this clamshell and polishing it and possibly painting it, but I don't think I'm going to do that. And when it comes to the electrolytics, I think I'm going to try to restuff this can and keep it original. Not sure yet. I have to take a look underneath and see how much real estate is there. So that's the plan on this radio. So I'm still waiting for the parts for the 5R41. That's the smaller Hallicrafters. So no work to do on that. So I'm just going to be scrubbing away with some navel jelly, some Brasso, and some of this Greenworks multi-surface cleaner. anyway, that's the plan for today. So I'm going to keep plugging along, and once I have this entire top done, I'm going to take off these dials, because I don't want them to get damaged when I flip it over. So I'm going to take the dials off, protect them, clean them, and then we'll flip it over and start doing some of the necessary capacitor replacement and resistor replacement. But we've got a while to do for that yet. Fortunately, it's Thanksgiving week, and I'll have a little bit of downtime between work and that kind of stuff, so I'll have some time to work on it. So really happy about that. Anyway, this is a new camera, by the way. It's a higher resolution camera than the one I used previous to this, so I'm curious to see if it's any better. I think it's just the camera, but I can do multiple angles if I want, which is good. So we're going to experiment with that. And I'm sure most of you have noticed that I've tried to stay away from holding the camera and shakiness. I now have this thing mounted on a tripod, and to close this video out, I'm going to show you what the tripod looks like if any of you want to get something similar for your setup. So let me shut this down, take the camera off, I'll show you the tripod, and then we'll wrap it up. Thanks. Okay, here's the tripod. I simply just drilled a hole in the top of the desk, and it fits down in there, and it's spring loaded, and it has a universal, I think they call that a gimbal, universal connection here that you can twist and turn and move and everything else. This also rotates up and down, and you can get just about any angle. This thing was 12 bucks on Amazon. Well worth it, and well worth that I don't have to hold the camera. So if any of you are interested, go for it. It simply has a mounting bolt on top here. You can see this thing spins any way you want, and you can adjust it and set your shot and not have to worry about it. So that's what I'm using. 12 bucks, Amazon. Spring loaded, right? Stays where you want it to be. Very similar to my light, right? Most of you have these lights. Very similar in design. And it fits right into the desk. I don't have to worry about it, and it's all good. All right, everybody. That's it for this episode, and we're going to come back when we have a little bit more substantial information for you. Everybody have a great day.